Hello and welcome to my channel Becoming Bev. Today we're going to talk about van life and dating. Is it possible? What are the challenges? Are there any benefits? And do you even have a chance? So, being a nomad and dating presents some interesting issues. For one thing, you're always on the move, which makes it a little bit of a challenge to actually spend the time to get to know someone and to actually go out on a date. Now, I'm single, and a few years ago, I decided, okay, I'm ready to start dating. Now, this was about, maybe February of 2020. And you have to laugh. I saw this little meme that said, okay, I'm ready to start dating again. And then the next line said, universe. Oh, yeah? And then in parentheses, it said, releases a worldwide virus preventing all humans from interaction. And then me, well played. So that's kind of how it's been. So with a combination of COVID and van life, being on the move so much, and then when I am still, I'm typically at the campground, which has its own challenges. The campground is kind of in the middle of nowhere. The nearest town is Fredericktown. It has 4,000 people, and the problem with that is I'm related to half of them. So the dating pool, I tease and say the dating pool is very shallow here. Now, with that said, I have managed to squeeze in a few dates. If I know I'm going to be somewhere more than a week or two, I might jump on Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or one of those dating apps and swipe right and swipe left and see if there's a cosmic match for me out there. So in the last year, I have had a handful of dates. And then there's always, do I like them more? Do they like me more? Do we like each other equally? Sometimes we're just clearly not a match. And then other times they're a really, really nice person, but just not a good match for me. And vice versa. I'm a nice person, but not a good match for them. And sometimes I think my next relationship might even be someone who knows me from the YouTube channel, because if you've watched my videos, you have a pretty good idea of what you're getting into. It's always interesting to show up for a date in the van. I mean, who shows up on their date with their house with them? I've been on a date in a downtown area and paid for like a special events parking permit. So I paid the $10 to park in the parking lot. Then after the date, I just climb back in the van and spend the night in the van in the parking lot. So it's not even like you actually have to drive away, you could just spend the night wherever you're at. Interesting too to try to explain to someone that nomadic lifestyle. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Vanner's Creed, which is basically you either understand van life or you don't. Now, I can entertain a little bit in the van. I can turn the passenger seat around. Someone can sit there. I can whip up a little appetizer plate, sit in here and have some good conversation, and then boot them out when it's time to go. And I always love the question, where do you live? It's so complicated to try and answer. I'm like, I have a home in Texas, I have a campground in Missouri, but I prefer being in my van. Like, it's absolutely my favorite place. Now, last year I did date another van lifer. That worked out pretty good. We had 5 dates in 5 different states. And believe it or not, I actually liked that part of the relationship. There were other things about it that didn't work for us, but he and I are still friends and we still kind of keep up with each other. We're no longer interested in dating. So I have this saying that you have to find the right distance to love someone from. I haven't got to date a lot. I haven't found Mr. Right. I've had a few Mr. Right nows. And in the meantime, I'll work on myself to become the type of person that I would want to be in a relationship with. It's interesting, I did have a date last week. I took a Tony Robbins course called Date with Destiny. So Misty, my daughter, took it with me, and we would get up in the mornings and we would say, "Are you ready for your date?" Date with Destiny. It was an interesting course. I spent a full day on relationships, and I had some pretty good insights. And I'd like to share those with you in hopes that maybe in part of my share, you'll hear some of your own story. It was fun to take the Tony Robbins course. I feel like I picked up a few tools that'll make a difference in my life. And sometimes it's not like these big giant changes. Sometimes it's just those little adjustments. I like to refer to them like, as an example, when you're out boating and you're off course, if you overcorrect and oversteer, you're just going to zigzag your way to get to where you're going. But if you just make the small little adjustment, pretty soon you're back on course. So when I take these courses like this, I think it's a series of small adjustments to help me become more the person that I want to be. It was kind of interesting. One of the things that Tony said was to write out a list of the exact person, like your ideal mate to be in a relationship with. Took our time, we did all that. And then when you were finished writing the list, he says, now look over that list and ask yourself, would that person want to be in a relationship with you? Holy moly, that one was an eye-opener. And I think you also have to realize that ultimately people are who they are, and you're probably not going to change the other person. Um, I have this saying that there is one person in life you can change, and that's yourself. So I think you kind of need to know who you're getting into the relationship with. And so much of it is also selection. So I use selection in a couple of different ways. It's like selecting the part of yourself that you're going to bring to the relationship, but also selecting the right person. Like, do they have similar values as you? Are you moving in the same direction? You know, can they do the relationship thing, and will they do it long time? And also, are they a good kind of team fit? Like, are they good with your friends? Are they good with your family, like that? Now, I did learn a few things about readjusting who I bring to the table in a relationship. Now, in my Tony Robbins seminar, he talked about the dimensions of a relationship. So, a one-dimensional relationship is someone who's just in it for them. Like, what can I get out of this? What can he do for me? Or vice versa, what can she do for me? But basically, the focus is, what am I getting out of this? A two-dimensional relationship is more kind of equality, like you do this for me and I'll do this for you, or you take care of yourself and I'll take care of myself, and sometimes we can take care of each other, but if my needs aren't met, I'm out of here. And then he talked about a three-dimensional relationship. In a three-dimensional relationship, the focus is more like your needs are my needs. Like, if there's something you want, I want you to have it. Like, I want to find ways to just delight you. And if both partners are in that same position where they just get excited about delighting the other one, I think that's where the real love and the real passion comes in. And I like the idea of shifting things. I think that I've been in one-dimensional and two-dimensional relationships. I don't think I've ever been in a full three-dimensional relationship where I really took full responsibility for nurturing and caring and loving my partner and meeting his needs. It's been more about, I'll do this for you and you do this for me, more transactional. Anyway, so I love the idea of trying this on and seeing if loving this way feels different. Now, another thing that I learned in the Tony Robbins course that I think will make a difference in my life is he's come up with this philosophy where he thinks that people have a primary question in their life. Like his is, how can I make it better? And he goes back to like childhood experiences where he had to, step up and try to fix a situation and make it better. So my primary question that I came up with during this course was, how can I get the heck out of here? And I had some significant childhood events that happened that brought that question up, like, I got to get out of here. And when that question is like your underlying motive in life, and like you feel like you're going to die if you don't get it right. for me, I can absolutely see how that could be detrimental in a relationship if my underlying subconscious is like, I can't be still. If I'm still, I'll die. I love my mom and I love my dad, but my mom battled with depression quite a bit when we were kids growing up. She was very overprotective. Like, I've had a few kind of childhood traumatic experiences. Like, I felt like we never got to go anywhere or do anything. And I think I've absolutely made up for it now, in that How Can I Get Out of Here has been running the show. It's like this, almost like an underlying like restlessness, like I need to move, I need to go, I can't stay here. Now, there's an upside to me having this primary question. I get to travel, I get to have adventures, I get to meet new people, I have variety. It kind of feeds my need for significance, and I always have a good story to tell. But then there's the downside. I don't ever want to be still. And lately, I don't even want to be still for a few weeks. And I think that it costs me relationships. I mean, really, who can keep up with me? Now that I've kind of identified that in me, I can absolutely still choose to go. And I know that I will, because I love travel. But it won't be like this restlessness, like I have to go. So I came up with a new primary question for myself. And the new question is, how can I make this moment right here, right now, even better? And it's so crazy. When I was traveling this summer, I thought about that a little bit. Like, I was looking for places by the river, or places that were scenic, and places to maybe go swimming. And I thought to myself, I have all of that at Fred Rock, at my campground. I have this beautiful wooded area. I have these trails. I have this incredible river and access to a swimming hole. So that realization did kind of hit me even before I took this class, like sometimes the ridiculousness of it. One of the speakers during the event shared a story that he keeps what he calls a princess diary for his wife. So basically, anytime he learns something new about his wife or thinks of something that might delight her, he jots it down in his princess diary. And I really love that idea. Like, I love the idea, I would call it like the King's Code or the King's Diary or something like that. But just to jot down those subtle notices and maybe hints of a potential idea for a gift later on, or something that he might want to do that would delight him, things like that. So I like the idea of thinking it's not about me, it's about we. Another little exercise that we did during the Tony Robbins course was to draw out 3 spheres, 3 circles, and to draw them in proportion to your life. Like, how big would your self circle be? How big would your relationship circle be? And how big would your work circle be? And there isn't an exact proportion the way that it should be, but just to understand that there's a cost and a payoff to however it is. For instance, if your work circle is this big and your relationship circle is this big, you could see where there might be some problems. And you may need to make some adjustments to bring it more into focus. Like for me, I realized that my work circle was like a tiny little pinpoint, and that I could grow that work circle a bit, grow my relationship circle a bit, be less focused on myself, and again, become more of the person that I would like to be. So all in all, I think my date with destiny was a good one. I think it'll make a difference in my life. I think that I'll make those little shifts and those changes to point myself in the right direction. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you picked up a tip or two. If you have, let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. You keep watching and I'll keep posting content. And by the way, it's winter time here, so it's almost time to get the bunny hat out. I haven't had this one out in a while. And I wonder why I'm not getting to date much. I need to get this thing out more. I forgot how fun it was.